Welcome back. I'm still with Talk's international editor Isabel Oakeshott. Well, Isabel, as you alluded to just now, there is this policy by the Labour government: smash the gangs, smash the people smuggling gangs. A lot of nonsense, of course. You can smash as many gangs as you like. If you don't stop the migrants, there'll be new gangs. This is just performative. It's for headlines. And by the way, if you are going to smash the gangs, maybe just once in a while you should smash a gang. They haven't managed to smash a single gang so far. So, it's a policy that will never work. Experts will tell you that, including the leader of Yvette Cooper's Border Security Command, Martin Hewitt, who said smashing the gangs won't work. So there's a thing. But the other reason that it won't work is they haven't smashed any gangs. But here is a sort of window into this government's commitment to smashing the gangs. It's the story of a people smuggler. His name is Alket Doughty. He's an Albanian. Some time ago in 2018, he was arrested living in Penge in southeast London and extradited to Belgium. The reason for that was that he'd run away, if you like, gone on the run to Britain after being wanted in Belgium and France for being a people smuggler. He was charging, his gang, big operation, was charging £13,000 to foreigners, to migrants, to sit in the front of lorries, or £8,000 to crouch in the back. These were refrigerated lorries, so when they were in the back, it was very, very dangerous. So he was arrested, having fled to Britain in this flat, deported, extradited to Belgium, where he received a 10-year prison sentence. After 5 years, he was released and returned to his native Albania. Journalists found him last week living once again in southeast London with his family when they contacted the Home Office and said, "Do you know about Alket Doughty?" "Oh, no, he's not here." They said, "Well, he is." So he's back living in southeast London with his family, and when approached by journalists, he said, "I am with papers. I have not done any crime in the UK." In fact, he's banned from living here forever. However, there it is, a people smuggler, not smashed, living here illegally, and the Home Office don't even know about it. That, I think, is a sort of microcosm, a snapshot of this government's approach to the migrant crisis.
What a brilliant illustration of absolute systemic incompetence. I mean, do you think he smuggled himself back into the UK? Presumably so, except that our systems are so useless.
He flew from Albania, by the way. He just got on a plane and flew in from Albania.
Yeah, but you'd kind of hope that when he put his little passport in the little reader, you know, maybe some bleep bleep alarms would go off to say, yeah, this guy, you know, on the computer system it says he shouldn't really be here. But no, he swiped his passport or whatever, ducked under the barrier, and soon he melted back into great British society where, you know, perhaps if he gets caught again, he could be expecting some special treatment by the courts, given that he's presumably, you know, got some religion that he can claim is a minority. And
yeah, that's right, yeah. You'll be allowed to stay on the two-tier basis, yeah. I mean, but I think that the Home Office, the government, the police, the border force are completely lapsed, completely inefficient and undynamic in this area. I just don't think they really care.
I don't think they do, because if they did really care, they could be competent about it. They could allocate the necessary resources. I mean, look how many umpteen billions are being thrown at net zero. If a fraction of that budget were used to control our borders and have proper systems and proper staff to stop this endless flow of the wrong people being here and never being sent home or being able to just creep back in again, then this country, our country, would be in a much better place. But it is woeful. You're left with the impression that the government just doesn't really care, doesn't see it as a priority. And as you said at the beginning of this conversation, This is changing the face of our country.
Damn right.
And when you have several thousand people in a week coming over to the UK, that is a small town's worth. Imagine that. And these are popping up all over the UK. And we now have areas that I wouldn't even call ghettos, because ghetto implies that it's self-contained and different from other areas. We now have great big pockets of our country where the majority of people have only just come here and don't speak a word of English.
And let's talk about that. This is it. This is it. So, by the way, time and time again, we've done several stories. We spoke only recently to an Albanian who's been deported 3 times. He's been in jail twice. He's been deported 3 times, and each time he's just got on a plane or just come to Calais and come back. So,
I mean, that just wouldn't be possible. It isn't possible in well-run countries. If you did that, your name would automatically raise a red flag on the computer system. I mean, it just would. You know, I listened to Donald Trump saying that the lowest number of illegal immigrants had come across the border since he became president. And I just thought, if only we had a prime minister that could stand and say something similar with pride.
Now, let's talk about the effect of all of this. The fact that, criminals are coming and going as they please. The fact that 1 million a year, 1 million legal migrants are being let into this country. I would suggest this year we're probably going to be talking about 50, 60, 70,000 illegals coming across the channel. As you say, this is significantly changing the face of Britain. It is changing the culture of this country. These are 1 million foreigners every year. So in 10 years, that's 10 million foreigners from different cultures, different religions, different backgrounds coming into this country and by definition changing it, diluting traditional Britishness, if you like. And here's a result of this kind of syndrome. 1 million people living in Britain now do not or cannot speak English. I mean,
to me, that is totally unacceptable. I think it might be acceptable to be in a country and not speak the language if you had no expectations of anything from that country in return. But the vast majority of those people who do not speak a word of English will be living off the state in some way. They just will be. They will be in state-supported housing. They will be taking NHS care. I mean, they just are. So how is that okay? You know, these people are passengers in our country when what we actually need is people who are helping drive the country forward, and they're just flopping around in the back of the car, not even looking out the window and asking for some sandwiches. That's how it is.
Yeah, and don't forget, when you talk about these people, these are residents of Britain, illegal residents of Britain, who've been allowed in on this ludicrous system where we are let in 1,850,000 a year. Every time they go to the NHS or they go for their benefits payments, we will also be paying, taxpayers will be paying for their translators.
That has to stop. That absolutely has to stop. And, you know, a popular policy for a political party would be to scrap that on day one of a new government. That is the kind of thing that Trump would do. It's the kind of thing that I think a UK political party would do. Day one, you just end all these translation services. Sorry, but if you're looking for free healthcare, then either use Google Translate or bring someone with you who can explain what it is that's up with you. You cannot expect the British taxpayer to pay for translation services. And frankly, the same goes for the courts as well, except in very, very rare cases. We should not be providing very, very extensive translation services for all the illegal migrants that find themselves in trouble because they've broken our laws.
Yes, and by the way, just to prove my point, the Department of Work and Pensions over the past 5 years has spent £27 million on translators. The NHS, I know, spends millions every single year. So these are people living here, they're residents of Britain. Some of them may even be, well, they probably wouldn't quite manage to be citizens, because you do have to pass certain tests to get that classification to be a citizen, but these are legal residents, many of whom have been living here for years, who can't speak English. A million of them. This is, as I keep saying this today, but this is out of control. This government's doing nothing about it. Might be nice to hear a few more words from the leader of the opposition about this sort of thing, but don't you think?
Oh, I definitely think that she would be pushing against an open door if she started leaning into some of this stuff. But instead, it's left to her very, very energetic rival, Robert Jenrick, who is very much on manoeuvres, along with, by the way, that other failed leadership candidate, James Cleverly. They're all on manoeuvres because they can see that Kemi Badenoch is not up to the job. I confidently predict that she will not be in that role this time next year, because she is demonstrably failing. She doesn't seem to be able to tap into the public mood at all. And at every opportunity, she seems to get it wrong.
Yeah, I think sort of Jenrick, and to a lesser extent Cleverly. I mean, I think every day around about 4 o'clock, you know, when you get these shocking revelations, like 1 million people can't speak British, can't speak English, 1,162 migrants have come across the channel since Saturday. I think they get to about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and I think they go, can't believe she hasn't said anything about this. Right, yeah. I will then.
I think that's exactly what's going on there, yeah.
Yeah, so farewell then, Kemi, fairly soon, I would imagine.